As many of you know by now, the Dyslexia in Adults started because of me and my original challenges with dyslexia. And if you've been listening for a while, you might have thought to yourself, why does this girl never talk about reading and writing? I thought that they were the key dyslexic challenges. Or maybe you're much like me, and the truth is, most of your challenges sit outside of reading and writing. And so it makes perfect sense. But this month, we want to talk all about emails and writing emails and how to deal with that challenge. Because although this wasn't the biggest challenge that caused me a lot of frustration back in the day when I was navigating my dyslexic challenges, the thing that I always used to do is I would push back that task. If ever there was a big email to be written or something where I had to really explain myself verbally, I would just very quickly go, yeah, I'll do that later. I'll do that tomorrow. It was always the thing on the list that I wasn't so keen on. Hi, and welcome to the Dyslexia in Adults podcast. I'm Natalie, and I know exactly what it feels like to be frustrated, embarrassed, and exhausted by dyslexia, which is why this podcast is about sharing the advice and strategies that I wish I had known sooner. There is no cliches, no fluff, and it's just real strategies that we know work. So let's get started. As always, I want to start by talking a little bit about why you might be struggling with that. What exactly is going on? We obviously know that dyslexics mean that we have a phonic awareness issue. And so therefore, the written word often just doesn't feel like our friend. But actually what I want to talk about today is this feeling of non-linear thinking. This idea that because we have this big picture thinking and because we are these people who have these complex thoughts and we see things in images and pictures, it can often feel really difficult to break down ideas and simply communicate what you're trying to say. But if we were thinking about that concept in a kind of more dyslexic friendly way, because who wants to hear about complex science terms like nonlinear thinking? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that in my brain, when I'm trying to write to you a complex email that is well thought out, I'm basically trying to describe a picture that only I have seen and utilizing words to describe a picture. It just doesn't quite make sense because that's often how I think about things. Stories, pictures, feelings, and trying to put those down and break them all down can feel almost impossible. Okay, I'm imagining by now there's going to be a couple of smiles, a few nods, and a few dawning realizations that that is exactly what is going on for you. So, how do we deal with this challenge, and how do I want you to navigate this feeling that there is complex thoughts in your head? So, let me explain what I do now. First of all, I know to think about the ideas first. So, I will often brain dump what I'm trying to say, what are the key points I want to get across first, getting down the ideas and making sure that I kind of tease them out where needed. And then going on to write an email can feel much easier because you've done that key bit of breaking everything down and feeling simple. Whereas when you're trying to do it at the same time, all the challenges of grammar and homophones and words you can and can't spell can just make the whole thing feel so much harder. And then if you're in a job or a role where this is possible, the real game changer is putting those ideas down into AI and getting AI to write the email for you. Or starting off with the email and getting AI to just clearly and simplify a lot of the things we've written. Because even though dyslexic people are not great with the written word, we tend to really over-explain things or make our sentences very complicated. So one of the prompts I often find myself saying is, here is my email, can you simplify it or make it clearer? That can be something that can be really helpful. So start by breaking down your ideas, and then if you can, AI is such a game changer to clean up those ideas and make them easy for people to process. Okay, enough of the boring science talk on what exactly is going on in your brain, because I know there's going to be a lot of nodding, dawning realizations that that is exactly you, or a few wry smiles of how close to the mark I've got it. So here is the tip on how to handle this. First of all, I want you to start thinking about the brain dump. breaking down all of your ideas and teasing them out where needed to make sure you've got your thoughts in some kind of structure. Because what we want to make sure we're doing is separating ideas and writing. Next, if you can, and it is possible, I cannot stress how much AI can be a complete game changer. Whether you want to kind of put that brain dump in and ask it to write the email for you, or you want to put in your email and ask it to clean things up and make things simpler and easy to understand, both can make a huge difference in clearing and explaining your ideas simply. And if right now you're screaming at me going, Natalie, I don't want more tasks associated with emails, I want less. Here is what I want to remind you, that ideas are our currency as dyslexic people, and we need to value them. And sometimes it does take us a moment to process and think through what we want to say to make sure those ideas are put across well. And instead of getting really frustrated at what it takes you to get those ideas out, I want to try and help you to remember the value and the opportunity that those ideas often give us. So to recap, our ideas are complex and writing them down can sometimes feel tedious, but the ideas are ultimately worth it. And finding the right systems and tools will make your going from idea to reality much easier. Thank you for listening to the Dyslexia in Adults podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please do rate and review it, as it makes a huge difference to reach more people like you. Just remember that dyslexia does not define you, and with the right strategies, you can unlock your potential. See you next week.